I am here with my grandfather who knows a whole lot about my family tree on my dad's side and my mom's side. And I thought he'd be the best to interview. So, Papa, can you say hi?
Hi.
So, I want to ask you, could you go up through the generations of my dad's side of the family, the Greshams, and just who... So, there's my dad, Doug, and then my grandfather, John Gresham, and my great-grandfather on my dad's side. Who's that? Do we know?
Yeah, I do. I didn't log on to Family Tree Maker. I have all of this in a database. I have 7,000 names and 300 direct, or maybe 280 direct ancestors of yours.
That's a lot of ancestors.
And we're talking the direct ancestors being the parents, grandparents, great-great-grandparents. It doesn't include uncles and aunts and all that stuff. All right, here we go. Okay, so you wanted to know about the Gresham side of things.
Yeah, my great-grandfather Gresham. What was his first name?
Just a second, I'll be there in just a second. That's because I'm going the wrong direction here. Oh, hold on. Gresham. A little rusty. I haven't been into this thing for probably 3 weeks.
I'm pretty sure it's something like Thomas or something like a white person name.
Don't say that. You aren't going to play this for your teacher, are you?
I mean...
Don't call it a white person's name. There's a lot of people that are Thomas.
Okay.
All right, here's Kyle Roberts. All right, Kyle Roberts. Dad is Douglas Michael. John Harlan Gresham. That's your grandfather. Then your great-grandfather was Paul Harlan Gresham.
Paul. And Paul, who is Paul married to?
Violet Mary.
Violet, and that's the only wife?
I don't know. Just a second till I look.
No, that was the wife that had my grandpa. My grandpa's mom, right?
Yeah.
And then after Paul...
Walter Burgess Gresham.
Walter, and is he getting close to the guy Gresham City was named after?
Yeah, he's getting close, but he's not there.
So Walter is my great...
Paul's father.
So my great-great-grandpa?
You're going to have to do the counting yourself. I'll have to figure that out later. I get confused on the great-greats now. How many did I just give you?
So you just gave me 2 after my grandpa. So,
all right, so your grandfather is your grandfather. Who's the next one I gave you?
And then Paul.
Paul would be your great-grandfather.
And then Walter
would be your great-great-grandfather.
Yeah.
Then Simon Burgess Gresham would be 3 great-grandfather.
So where does the guy that Gresham City was named after fit into this? Is he...
I have to look that up. Abraham Gresham was Simon's father's name. And I'm looking to see... All right, I need the notes. Kyle, if you'd have told me all this beforehand, I'd have had that done. All right, I will send you that. I will find it here in a minute.
Thanks, Papa.
Because I put that in as a note somewhere. And he was the Postmaster General.
He was the Postmaster General, so he got a city named after him. Doesn't he have a city named after him in Nebraska as well?
Yeah, I think so.
And he's buried in Arlington. The guy Gresham was named after is buried in Arlington.
That you're right. That would be of some interest to local teachers and so on. That you had some connection there. Let me see.
Yeah.
All right. No, wait a minute. Simon Burgess was in 1861, the Indiana Infantry Regiment, which means that's Civil War days. And let me see, Walter Burgess. Let's see what the notes are on him. I don't know. I'm going to have to go look it up someplace, buddy.
So
I don't have it right at the tip of my hand.
I'm not positive, but I think that Simon was the half brother, and his father was Abraham.
Yeah, I thought I'd sent you all that.
Abraham, and so Abraham had 2 wives, and the wife that had the child that was Walter, the wife that had the child that was Simon, who had the child that was Walter. My great-great-grandfather, he, that's where he's connected. So I think it worked out to be something like my 7th half brother was the guy Gresham City was named after.
All right, hang on. There's another file here where I have. At one point, I think I sent you that information as well. But whenever I create a report like that, oftentimes I try and keep it. So where would it be? See, most of the time, those sorts of things are filed with the person. And so far, I haven't been able to find it. Person view, persons, tools, help, places, maybe under places. It doesn't work.
Okay, that's fine.
Wait a minute. Okay, go back. What do you want to do now? I'll get to that. I'll find that too.
Papa, could you tell the story about it's my mother's side, my mother's side, and it's about their last name is Galbraith.
Right.
And can you tell that story about how the guy got angry?
This was back in the days of Scotland and Ireland. They were the Galbraiths, and B-R-A-I-T-H. The Galbraiths were from Scotland, and they were a prominent family. Originally, by the way, they had been from England, so the name Galbraith in the Scotch, whatever that is, simply means visitor from England. And so, but they were there for hundreds of years. We're talking about 600 years ago, 500 years ago, something like that. And so they then moved. Some of them moved over to Northern Ireland with the general. It became There's a whole long story here, but the point is that the 2 brothers got into a pretty good feud over inheritance or a loyalty to whichever king. And so the one brother said, well, I'm changing my name. I'm not a Galbraith anymore. I'm a Galbraith. And so they changed the spelling.
So the one brother was really, really petty. And instead of like changing his name to like Smith or something else, he's like, you know what? I'm just going to change one letter just to like make my other brother and father a little bit angry.
2 letters.
2 letters.
Galbraith was spelled Galbraith.
Okay, so 2 letters.
Breath is with the B-R-E, Galbraith. It's the breath.
And so we're on the side of the brother who changed his name.
Right.
And
good Galbraith.
Yeah.
So what you'll find is in the United States is that there is a fair number of Galbraiths and a fair number of Galbraiths.
And we have a common ancestor with the Galbraiths, but we don't like the Galbraiths that much because...
Oh, yeah, we do. One of them was the Treasury Secretary. They had some pretty good people.
No, it was a joke because...
Oh, okay.
It was just being petty, but... So...
Okay.
So, one of them was a Treasury...
Yeah, one of the Galbraiths. And there was a famous economist from England by the name of Galbraith. And plenty of Galbraiths around that were good people, and Galbraiths were good people. The Galbraiths, however, were more prominent in Northern Ireland than the Galbraiths. So my conclusion from that is that whenever they split, the Galbraith folks pretty much settled in Northern Ireland and then came to the U.S. And the Galbraiths kind of stuck around in Scotland and northern part of England, and they also migrated to the U.S., but differently.
And then switching back to my dad's side, the way that my dad's dad, I think it was something like 9th great grandfather. I did the Ancestry.com thing a couple summers ago, but I think his name was Thomas Gresham. He came into the U.S. as an indentured servant, if I'm not right.
A lot of them did.
Yeah, and then earned his freedom. So he came on a ship as an indentured servant, and then earned his freedom. So
it's not like he was a slave. Indentured servants were treated poorly. Don't get me wrong. They were treated quite poorly, but it was in other words, you work long enough and you pay off your debt, so to speak, then you can go on your way.
They were usually white, right? They're usually white people, right? Indentured servants.
Yeah, primarily. Yeah, but again, they came under a different set of rules than the slaves. Slaves was a forced deal.
Slaves
was more an economic change, not physical change.
Would you say slaves? And also, wait, could you get into being an indentured servant by your choice? By your choice?
Pardon?
You could get into you could be an indentured servant by your choice.
Yes.
Compared to just being forced into slavery.
Yeah, but the most of the people who got into indentured servitude were in really desperate financial situations.
And then I think a couple generations went by, and then we moved to Indiana, right?
Yeah.
And eventually moved over to Illinois when my dad was... my dad's family moved over to Illinois.
All right, that's John. I got a pedigree chart here for you to John Adams. That was the Revolutionary War, folks. And there's a pedigree chart that I did in 2020 for you. It shouldn't change a whole lot. Let me see. Ancestors. Let me see what this one says. Ancestors of Cal and Ryan. And if I go into Generation 4, we've got Paul Harlan, all right, and Generation 5, Walter Burgess Gresham. Here's a whole lot of the information. And their children, and Defoe, Generation 6, Simon Burgess Gresham, and he had Willie, Eva, Imogene, Maud, Walter. He was born, she died then. So we're going to go one more generation, I believe, before we're going to find the one that you're looking for. That's loving. Here we go. Abraham Gresham. I don't see right off the bat.
So right here, he's at the guy Gresham City was named after is named, I want to say Quinn Gresham, was it?
That sounds right.
Yeah, Quinn Gresham, and his father is Abraham Gresham, but his mother is not related to me at all, because Abraham Gresham had 2 or 3 wives, and so
Abraham and one of the wives is your ancestor. Abraham and another one of the wives is his ancestor, right?
Yes. So
How do you know that? Why are you asking me about that stuff? You
Well,
already know it.
I wanted to confirm and interview a little bit about just my ancestry and heritage. And so if you were to say what percentage of ethnicity, just off the top of your head, I would be, what percentage would be Scottish versus from England versus from another country from Europe, probably, because...
What we call that is the Northern Europe.
Yeah.
And you're almost 100% Northern Europe.
Exactly.
Now, it's hard to tell between the difference between Scotland and Ireland. And oh, by the way, if you go back one more bunch from that, you'll find that several of your ancestors were Vikings. And the Vikings were great sailors, and they sailed and conquered northern, they conquered Scotland and parts of Ireland before there was written records. And so they intermarried with a lot of the people in that part of the world. So when you start looking at DNA and genealogy stuff, you have a fair amount of Viking blood in you as well. If you want to claim that, you may not want to, because they were fierce warriors, and they weren't above, they were sometimes pirates.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in the history books now it kind of gets watered down a little bit.
Sure.
Or a lot about, just certain warriors and stuff like that.
The thing about the Vikings, and the Vikings also, a lot of northern Germany, like there's on our side, on the Thompson and the Wick side of things, there are a fair number of folks that came from the Germanic areas, the northern part of Germany and that area. And anyway, they have a fair amount of Viking blood in them too. And because those Vikings, man, they went sailing all over the place. They were traders, they were sailors and they were traders. And on Saturday night, when they got their pay, they went off and got drunk and they screwed around with the women. They married some of them they didn't. They were a rowdy bunch back in the day.
So in conclusion, basically you're saying I'm related to the guy, multiple people, obviously. I'm the seventh half-brother of Quinn Gresham, the guy who's buried in Arlington and Gresham was named after, and I am a Viking.
Yeah, you can say that too. You're also Scotch-Irish. Scot-Irish is what the right way to say it, not Scotch. Scot, S-C-O-T-Irish.
Thank you, Papa.
And now, by the way, the other piece of that is that I'm looking at some other files here on you. I was looking at a couple of other things on that. There was a fair number of folks who came from England in your ancestry, and I thought we had done a DNA test for you, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Dig that out, and it'll tell you what percent of they think is from where. And,
yeah. Also, Papa, could you send me the Gresham crest if you have that? And if you don't, I'll see if I can dig it out from when you did send it to me. But turns out our family has our own crest.
Yeah, well, some of that is, let me put it this way, some of that was made up later on, and it's not clear to me who did it when. It wasn't awarded by a king always. Sometimes it was, sometimes not. So don't get so, if somebody wants to call your hand on it, I don't have any proof to tell you where the crest came from. And if you don't like that crest, make up your own.
Yeah, I mean, that works, right?
You could put a couple of baseballs and baseball bat on it, or
whatever really represents you,
Yeah, you and your family, you can do that. We had a lot of teachers, we had a lot of farmers, we had a fair number of people that were small business people. I mean, they owned their own businesses. So, you had a lot of that. So that's being entrepreneurial.
So, thank you for doing this interview, Papa. I appreciate it.
That's it?
Well, yeah, we don't need that much. It's not like a CNN 2-hour interview where you need to see all of it, but thanks for doing it.
You kept asking me about the size of the family, your side, that I don't know as much about on your side as I do on my side.
You want to talk about the people on your side?
Well, I told you.
So my mom's side, basically?
I'm looking for that daggone DNA. I might not have ever gotten it because I think it was sent to you, for you and your brother, because you'd have the same DNA. Your mother surely has that sitting around somewhere.
Probably.
That'll answer your question about Northern Europe. And there's usually a little piece of, what do I want to say? Oh, there's something that says DNA results. Let me see if I do have it. If I do, you might be interested. So hang on. Can you spend a few more minutes, or are you anxious to get to your game?
No, I can spend a few more minutes. The game's not gonna end in 2 minutes, so.
Okay.
So right now he's looking for the Ancestry.com DNA test that I did when I was like 10. Yeah?
Well, it doesn't change.
Yeah, no, I'm just stating I haven't.
Okay, here we go. The ethnicity estimate for Kyle Gresham. Ireland, 38%. Scandinavia, that's the Viking piece, 22%. Great Britain, 18%. And then there's the Mediterranean. This would be like Italy, Greece, and that, 10%. Europe, West.
Would this be like Germany or Turkey or like?
Well, Europe West would be France and Germany type.
Okay.
Okay, so that's 7%. Europe East would be Poland, Austria, and all of that, 4%.
It's pretty cool.
Then there's, let's see, I think that leaves over maybe 1% from someplace else. So how do you, Kyle Gresham compares to the typical person native to the Great Britain region? I'll send you this chart, because this has a lot of that ethnicity stuff to it, and then there's some stories in here that are generic to most of the families, and if you remember, I've done a whole lot of research on your grandmother Wick's side of things, including going and visiting a church where one of her ancestors was murdered.
Dang.
And it was a good buddy of Henry VIII. Anyway. All right, so that's the ethnicity thing I can send you. I will run a copy and I'll send it. Do you want me to send it to you or to your mother?
You could probably just send it to me, and I feel like if you CC it to her, she'll get angry, so just send it to me.
All right, then you figure out maybe what you want to copy from it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Now here's another, let's see, ancestors of Kyle and Ryan. This thing goes on for how many pages? This was done in January 2020, so it might be a little bit out of date, but it includes, there's Defoe. Let me make sure it has the Gresham side in there too. If it does, then you can go through and you'll, that too. Loving, right. Here's George Gresham. It's number 128. But this one goes back 10 generations. Thomas Gresham is 10 generations back.
He was the indentured servant.
I don't know. I'd have to read all the stuff here. So, all right. So what I want to do is I want to send you the ancestor report, and also the town of Gresham. I'm in Gresham.
So basically, Greshams do a lot of everything, or even not just Greshams. Greshams, Wicks, Thompsons, Galbraiths, Defoes. They're all related to me, and they all do a lot of things.
Right.
They're not just like, oh, he was a fishing person, and they're a fishing family. Oh, they're miners, or they're,
Now, tell you what, the one of the things that the early Wicks, the first ones that arrived in the let's see, Kyle, your 10th great grandfather arrived at Plymouth Rock, Massachusetts in 1632 at age 16. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
So all right, I'll send you that one too. So that's Kyle, 10th great grandfather at Plymouth Rock, because that's another. Everybody talks about, oh, they arrived at Plymouth Rock, et cetera, and I got proof. Then let's see, what's the next one? Letter to Kyle on the family characteristics. I don't know whether that's a lot of me being pontificating, and you won't be interested in that. Where did I put that? There we go. Pedigree chart, relationship chart to John Adams. Nope, you don't want that. What we want is Quinn. I don't see it right off the bat.
So, thank you for doing this interview with me, Papa.
All right, I'll send you a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
You have to plow through it to get the stories. But if you don't get a damned A on this thing, I'm going to go kick the teacher in the butt.
Okie dokie. Thank you.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye-bye.